Chicago Bears fired their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, I believe it said. I pronounced that right. And promoted their offensive passing game coordinator, Thomas Brown, to become the new offensive coordinator. Guys, is Shane Waldron a scapegoat or is it something that needed to happen? K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you first.
Both. I mean, both. I mean, if you look at it, because of the fact of the matter is, he's calling the plays. When you look at the Bears offense, there's no creativity, there's no innovation there. With this offense, and you got a really good offense. I mean, Caleb Williams, he's not going anywhere. They made all the moves that they did. They got, they traded away Justin Fields. He was their guy. They said that he was their guy. They compared him to so many different players before him, so many different quarterbacks, I should say, before him. And Jay and I were high on it and said there was something about it. We don't see what everybody else was seeing. With this young man, and nothing to take away from him, but there was just nothing jumping off of the tape, if you will, the video, whatever you want to call it today. That says, oh, this guy is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes or the next, Aaron Rodgers in his prime, things of that nature. And it's obviously, it panned out the way we thought it would. I mean, they got talent. They brought in DJ Moore. They got Kemet, the tight end, who I think is very good and underused. So a lot of their players are underused. And then you bring in DeAndre Swift and these guys. So they have the talent around him. But just the play calling and that offensive line, we thought that the offensive line was one of the best offensive lines in the game, but for some reason or another, it's just not working out. It's just guys aren't getting open, guys aren't blocking for whatever reason, and Caleb Williams is just running for his life for the most part. So yeah, I think it's the right move. They had to start somewhere because right now I think it was a coin flip. Do we keep Caleb Williams as QB1? Let's hold off on that. That's that may be just jumping the gun a little bit, but let's make a move at the offensive coordinator position. See if that makes anything go, if that sparks anything, and if not, then you got to see if Caleb Williams is your guy. But hey, this is the Bears. This is what they do. This is what they do year in and year out. They have a year in, a couple of years in, a couple of years out. They bring in a quarterback, all the way back. They had Jay Cutler and, those guys. They haven't had a real quality quarterback. I mean, they had guys that put up numbers but never win. So I'm not surprised here at all. But, yeah, to answer the question, I think that it's the right move, and he had to be the guy that goes. He had to be the scapegoat, to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm torn on this because when you watch the tape and you see how poorly Caleb Williams is playing, I'm sitting here like, is it the play call? Is it the designs of the plays? Or is it that he just can't read defense? Or is it maybe he thinks he's in college and he could hold the ball for about 10 to 20 seconds because he holds it a very long time. And I'm exaggerating the length of time he's holding it, guys. Or not, right? Because he looks and then he takes off. So I'm just like, you're focused on one player, and sometimes the offensive line, granted, is not a great offensive line, but sometimes they provide enough protection, for him to go through his progressions and make a decision. And then at times the throw is just off. The throw just looks bad. So I'm like, how much blame can an offensive coordinator take for bad play on the field? Because when you look, guys are open, but he has to understand NFL open is different than college open. NFL open, the window is a lot smaller than it is in college. And I just don't know if he's grasping that. Maybe with this move, it could, give the, spark a flame or, put some fire underneath him, for this at least a week or so. And maybe we'll see a difference. But I have issues when players start complaining, your teammates start complaining about you. So I'm a little split. Like, they needed a change. Was it the right change? I'm not so sure, because here's my other question to this. Shane Waldron is your offensive coordinator. Who's your quarterback's coach? Why is there no change maybe at the quarterback's coach? Because sometimes his technique and his progressions and the fundamentals that you need as a quarterback just doesn't look good. His accuracy sometimes is off. So why wasn't maybe he the one that should have been let go? That's an interesting question. But Jay,
Yeah.
Shane Waldron a scapegoat, or is it something that needed to happen?
So, Britt, I think you make a fair point about, like, obviously there's been some growing pains at the quarterback position, no question about that. And Caleb Williams trying to play quarterback in the NFL the way that he played in college, and it's just not going to work. Like he thinks he can run around and spin and do all that. Like that doesn't work in the NFL. And the sooner he can figure that out, the better. But I I think he probably deserved to be fired. But Dan Orlovsky, who I think is one of the best in the business in terms of like breaking down film and showing what's happening and things like that. I've seen him on a couple occasions sort of dissect the Chicago Bears offense and just some of the things that they're not doing and some of the concepts that they're trying to run. And I feel like he's pretty fair. And I think he's been a little bit critical of just maybe the approach that they've been taking to playing offense. So I'm okay with them making a change, maybe bringing somebody else new in there that could maybe, like you said, light a fire or just change things up. Maybe it just wasn't a good fit. Like we always say, somebody's got to take the blame, right? And if it's not going to be the head coach, the next in line is that OC and DC. Exactly. So this one just happened to fall on this guy's head. So I'm okay with the change.
Now, a lot of people have said that Shane Waldron is not as good of an offensive coordinator as we think. He's just not a good offensive coordinator at all. What are your thoughts on that? Because last year, I think the Seahawks got a little bit of praise, and I believe he was the offensive coordinator for them last year with the success that he had a little bit with Geno Smith, or maybe that was 2 years ago, but he was still the offensive coordinator. What were your, do you guys have thoughts on him being a bad offensive coordinator? Anybody can take it.
I don't think he's a bad offensive coordinator. I think what's truly happening, I think they're giving the reins to Caleb Williams to be what he was in college and allow him to go out there and just kind of freelance, if you will. I don't think there's he's not understanding. If either he's doing it on his own or they're allowing it, because what's happening is that you're either coaching it or you're condoning it. Those are the two things that goes on with coaching. So you ask yourself, like, what he did, meaning Waldron, what he did in Seattle was effective. Those guys, made the playoffs. They had one of the top offenses in the league. Geno Smith was actually at the one point, one of the top quarterbacks in the league as far as passing yards and things of that nature. So you got to ask yourself, is Caleb Williams not, go back to your point, Britt, you made a great point there. Is he not reading the defense? Is he not being able to go through his progressions? Is he, if his first read is not there, is he just taking off? What is it about him? But I don't think you could put it all on Coach Waldron, to be perfectly honest with you. I think Caleb Williams is a quarterback that has the talent, has the arm strength, the mobility. Maybe from the head, from the neck up, he's not there. But from a physical standpoint, he has all the intangibles that you need, all the tools that you need. So I don't want to, I want to see, what he did in Seattle. He could have brought that to Chicago. I think he did, but I just think it has something to do with Caleb Williams just not being ready, not being willing, and I don't want to say not being able, but just not ready. And I don't think maybe a little bit of not being willing there. That's what I'm seeing from the outside, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and the other thing too, like I don't want to say he's a bad coordinator because like I'm sure like in terms of game planning, like he probably puts together a plan that he thinks is good, and everybody runs some version of the same plays anyway. So it's not like he probably doesn't have a good offense. I'm wondering if maybe on game day, like the sequence of plays that like you could be a good coordinator, but maybe not a great play caller. And maybe he was not a great play caller on Sunday, like some of the sequence of plays and things like that. And then I too, to K Walk's point, like I don't think we can leave the Caleb Williams part out of this, right? Because sometimes it's just players. Like every play you design is designed to be successful. But players have to go out there and make plays. And maybe in Seattle, you got some guys making plays, and right now in Chicago, that's not happening. So I think it's a combination of a lot of different things, but when it's not working out, that's the guy that's going to take the blame. So I understand why they made the move.
Last question pertaining to this, because it was reported that his teammates, so Caleb Williams' teammates, prior to the firing of Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, they actually went to the head coach and tried to convince him to bench quarterback Caleb Williams and start the backup quarterback. I think his name is Tyson Baggett or Bagnett. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams' teammates saying, hey, we don't want him to start? And he has veteran teammates all around him. And I don't know if you seen the clip not that long ago, but he actually, DJ Moore, during one play, actually walked off the field in the middle of one play. And he has also expressed frustration after that. What are your thoughts on his teammates saying we don't want him to start anymore? Anybody can take it.
Yeah, Britt, like body language is a big indicator. And I've seen some really bad body language on that team. I have no proof of what I'm about to say. It's just me making an observation. I don't think they like Caleb Williams. I don't think the guys in the locker room, like personally, I don't think they like him as a person. And I think that again, that's just my opinion. But I think like when the guy that's supposed to be leading your football team, if you don't like him or if you don't have respect for him, you're just, and you don't feel like maybe he's in it in the same way that you are, like that's not a guy that you want to go to battle with. So I think the fact that they went to the coach and said, hey, let's sit this guy down. Let's see if the backup can help. Like I think that's very telling, but you can see it in the body language. I've seen some eye rolling, some hand waving. You mentioned people walking off the field. Like I've noticed all of that with the Bears, and I don't think they like him, Britt.
Any thoughts on this, K-Walk?
Yeah, I agree with Jay, man. I don't think there's just something there. I don't know if it's his personality or just they just don't think he gets it.
Yeah.
I just think it comes down to that, and I think that they know that who was it, Tyson Baggett? I think they know that he's probably in the film room. Maybe Caleb Williams is pulling a Kyler Murray type esque move. Remember he was not giving 100% to the game and 100% focus to the game plan and things of that nature. And he probably just thought he can just go out there and just rely on his God-given ability. And I think that a lot of these players out here don't realize you have to work upon that, that God-given ability in order to be successful. And like you mentioned, Britt, you just can't go around there running there like you're in college, different speed. Those windows that may be open as, just as wide, but they close, a lot quicker without question. So, yeah, I think that they know, they see. They know what they see, and they see it they see it in practice. They see it in the games. So at some point, listen, I'm not going out there, guys, waving guys in like you go in, tapping the helmet, whatever the case may be to call for substitutions. When you see that, and you see it by multiple guys, not just one guy, you see it by multiple guys in multiple positions, you got to point to the quarterback. But yeah, I definitely think that don't be afraid to let this guy sit. I mean, he's your number one pick, but don't be afraid to let him sit. Some quarterbacks do succeed after doing that.
I mean, look at Bryce Young. He seems to turn things around. It looks like Anthony Richardson. We'll see how he does because I don't know how much longer Flacco is going to be in there for. It looks like that whole Anthony Richardson sitting for the rest of the year may not necessarily be true. But it did wonders for Bryce Young. So maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs to just sit on the bench, really learn to, really understand how to read, how to go through his progressions, read defenses. So that's something he could, who knows? We'll see if it happens though. They're probably considering it. So comment, y'all. JN, y'all. Old coach Tom Moore told Maton Panny going into his second season, you have 3 seconds to get rid of the football. Caleb needs to learn this.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
NFL is different. Right. NFL is different. And then he also said, dude comes into the locker room with his nails painted.
I ain't got no comment. No wrong with that, but I don't know that's the problem. But if it is, get that nail polish remover, if you will.
If you can ball, I don't care.
I don't care about that, but
if that's all you focused on and you're an athlete, we got other questions. Yeah.